Hello, everyone. It's Thursday evening. We're here again to have a conversation with you. There are a lot of questions on our minds that we'd like to discuss with you. We'd like to have your input also. Let us know where you are. Um, I believe Emmy will be joining us. You know, Peter and I are here almost every Thursday night. Yeah, that's every Thursday night per. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about what is Liberia ready for democracy? Most people are saying Liberia is not ready for democracy, but we would discuss that later, and we're going to talk about the challenges, okay, that comes with democracy. We'll explore the fundamental system necessary for democracy to thrive. Okay, we'll talk about what incorporating or to we incorporate Tarbert's mat to mattress. What was he saying? What was that philosophy? What was the idea behind that? Okay. We're going to contrast. We're going to talk about all of that. And in our second segment, we're going to talk about development in the absence of directions. Okay, we focus in examining the current governance system under Joseph Boakai and so on. And what does that say when your nation is lining up? It's lining up to run to other countries for survivorship. So, Peter?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I think that's a really good place to start. What is democracy? Are we ready for that? That's important because the people that lead us matters, and they're the decision makers, right? So
Right,
those who make the decisions for us are the ones who are going to set the standards for what type of standard of living we're going to have, and where we're
right,
going how we're going to use our natural resources or the
right.
resources available to us. So how are we picking these people? So let's talk about, do we even have the right mindset right now to pick the right leaders? And then how other leaders, it's true, every country, we've done this so far. We talked about how other countries were able to other nations were able to set an agenda, a plan for nation building. Do we
Mm-hmm.
have it? Tuber's mat to mattress was an example of that before he was toppled, right? Um,
Right.
uh, People sleep on mat to move into mattress. He was talking about improving the standard of living. What do we have right now that's similar to that? Um, so I think that's a really rich topic that we can get into, and then we'll get into the rest of the topics.
So then let's start with you. What's your mind? Where are we? We know like, we have a lot of stuff going on. For instance, we're at the place where let me start this, and somebody would say, must you be negative? I'm not negative, I'm realistic because I come from the past and I can project the future because I've studied history and I know I've heard the music before, I've seen the dance before, and I can sense it if we are going in circle. So I can speak to it and kind of preempt what I'm saying. So we know now that our president were invited to President Bwaka were invited by our other president Donald Trump to the United States for a meeting, which is a summit in America, the business summit between Africa and the North America. We've seen that over and over. We saw Josh we had there last year. We saw the year before another president. We just saw Ramaphosa at the White House, and we just saw Paul Kagame and the president of no, the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, at the White House. We also have seen the president of Ukraine at the White House. Now, we got an invite. Okay. Right now, we know that a lot of African countries that really are not in good book with our president, Donald Trump. That's my president too. Okay. We know Ramaphosa have been a fierce, in fact, even coming to the White House and when he left and went to Africa, he had a lot of rebuttals. We know that the president of Burkina Faso, the president of Niger, especially the president of Burkina Faso, have been invited, a formal invite. They have even sent a dedication to him, delegates there, and he refused to meet with them. The foreign affairs minister met with them. He told our president, the Honorable His Highness Donald Trump, okay, that he's basically building his country, so he's not coming anywhere. But I see Liberia is literally like having this euphoria about getting an invitation to come to the United States, to the White House. What's your thought? Where are we? And then you can take that from there. I just wanted to add that while you take it off from there.
Yeah. So I think we have to take a step back.
Okay.
Um, Boycott got invited. Well, the country of Liberia got invited to the White House for a reason.
Right.
Whether it's a geopolitical reason, whether it's geoeconomic reasons, we as a nation got invited. The leader of the nation, which is Joseph Boyka, gets to represent us in that meeting. My thing is, we probably have the wrong, not probably, I know for a fact we have the wrong representative. And the question is the question I would ask, or I'll ask my students to ask is, A, why would you say he's the wrong leader if he's the president? And B, how could a nation possibly have a wrong leader? He's elected, democratically elected, which is where I want to start. I don't believe that our country is ready for democracy as it stands. There are principles and pillars that you must have if you are to have a democratic country.
Correct.
And these pillars are not negotiable.
And they're
Right?
not present. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
You
Yes, please.
you can't bend them. Okay. And these pillars and these elements and these foundations are what they are. I often try to use this analogy of cooking because I think is right for that. I think is appropriate. Anyone who knows how to cook, and I'm not even a cook, what I do know is there are steps and procedures that you must follow, even when you know all the ingredients that needs to go in the pot.
Right.
There are steps that must be taken first, second, third, fourth. If you don't follow those steps, the meal is not going to be the same. It's not going to taste right.
Right.
Right? Okay. So there are fundamental elements that must happen to have a democracy. Just as when you do have a country, there are fundamental elements and steps you must take to a nation build. So today, since we're talking about democracy, what democracy is, I want us to look at the steps and the importance of those steps. If you're making, let's pick a meal. I know one of your favorite to make because you're from Nimba is GB.
Correct.
Can you take a bunch of cassava, don't even peel it, put it in a pot, put fish in the pot, put chicken soup in the pot, put onion in the pot, and just start boiling? Can you do that?
No.
How come?
No, you won't be making GB. It's not possible.
That's
Yeah.
not how you make the meal, right?
No.
But aren't those ingredients that go in the pot?
Not like that.
Exactly.
Not in those order. Not like that. No.
You don't do it like that. And it sounds nuanced, right? It's like,
Yes.
what are you even asking? No, you don't do it like that.
And that's why
What
I
if
have
I
to
was
stop. I have to stop a moment to kind of process what you're
yes.
talking about.
What if I was to press you on the fact that, yeah, but you said to go to the store and buy these, and I got them. Well, what do you mean I'm not making it? You told me to get these things. This is how you make it.
Right.
What would be your rebuttal to me? What would be your rebuttal, Yasendi?
I would say that is not the process. You would not get to where you're getting. It's like I'm trying to bake a bread, especially if I'm trying to bake a rice bread, and I'm using something else. That is not the process. When I'm going to get, it's going to be foreign. It's not going to be where my actual destination is and what I'm trying to produce. So I will not be making GP. I will be making something totally different.
even though those are the ingredients that we're asked to use, and that's what you're gonna put in the pot, but there's a
Right.
process, right?
But that's not the way it's applied.
Well, same thing applied to society and government. Um, when you to have democracy, democracy is just a people's government, people power government.
Right.
We in Liberia are supposed to have what is called a representative democracy.
We do.
There are
Yeah.
different forms of democracy, right? Democracy just
Right.
means people rule. That's all democracy means.
Yeah.
People
We
rule.
the people. People rule.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, it's just a Greek term. People rule. Democracy, right? Crazy just means rule. Demos means people. Okay. There are different forms of democracy. There is a direct democracy where the people get to make all the rules. Once they get to make all the rules, all the little laws and nuance about how fast you should go on the highway, what should be considered class A drug, what should be considered class B drugs, how long should someone go to jail, should this even be this is this a felony, a misdemeanor, all those things. If you're in a direct democracy, everyone gets to vote on what is to be.
Right.
We said that's not realistic because people have jobs, people on the farm, people doing whatever. That doesn't quite work. So let's get people who spend a lot of time learning about how society is and let them make those rules for us. And if we don't like the rules they're making, we just change them and get someone else to make the rules, right?
Right.
So that's called representative democracy. We get people to represent us to make those rules. Liberia has a representative democracy. Supposed to have a representative democracy. Well, in order to have a representative democracy, you must first understand the roles those people that you're picking going to play and what type of person have the qualities that are needed to play that role
Right.
or those roles. Okay, let's start. In order to do that, you have to be informed.
Right.
So if healthcare is important, people not being sick is important. You must first understand that the person that you're picking values medicine. Person believes that when people are sick, the hospital can help, and the
Right.
hospital needs medication, and the hospital needs people who pass the HIPAA code, right?
Right.
The hospital needs things that people with skills have. You have to know that. You can't say, well, I'm picking this person because it's my uncle. So let them go work in the hospital. Okay.
Right.
So you
Or
must have
that's my
information.
girlfriend, or that's my wife. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Go on,
Same
Peter.
thing with education. Same thing with flying a plane. Same thing with transportation. You have to have people who understand there's a level of expertise people must have for this thing to function at its very best, or at a minimum standard that's going to help everyone. So you must have an educated populace. They must understand the importance of the functionalities of the roles these people are going to play. If not, we're not going to get the right person. If the population is not informed, they could just pick someone just because they like them. And that person might not be qualified for that position.
Right.
And that person gets to make decisions that's going to affect the lives of millions of other people's family. So, in order to have democracy, you must have an educated populace. Why is that important? Well, because picking someone who's hurting other people's family, that creates chaos. That could start wars. Okay, it could cause pain and suffering, and that pain and suffering, some people might react to that, and now you don't have stability, you don't have peace. So
Right.
you need someone who's informed, who's going to make sure that he does his job to the best of their ability. So help him God. Okay. All right. So you need to have an educated populace. Yeah, Cindy, let's talk about an educated populace in Liberia. So the point that we put on the table is, are we really ready for a democracy in Liberia? Is that blasphemy to say we're not ready for democracy in Liberia? I would assert that we don't have people making we don't have people making educated decisions when they're picking leaders. Not only
Right.
that, we don't have systems in place to fix it like America when things does go left. We don't have those systems in Liberia to correct for people not being as informed, right? Because those systems aren't built. You need an educated populace. What's the literacy rate in Liberia right now?
About 50 some more percent. They say it's higher, but I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
Well, I heard it's around 67,
Yes,
70%.
I don't
Okay.
believe it. I
We
don't
have a
believe
bunch of functional
illiterate.
illiterate people,
Yes.
right? And
Hmm.
it's not to disrespect because that term illiteracy, like, is it stings a lot of people in Liberia. But how many people can actually read a document and comprehend what they read and synthesize the information? So I'm saying the level of education that we need to pick the leaders, we don't have in Liberia. If someone disagrees, by all means speak up. We don't have that. So now there are four pillars I'm going to talk about. Okay. Four fundamentals, four elements. The first is education. We don't have an educated populace. That would be my first assertion. So if we don't have an educated populace, 0 to 1 for democracy. We're trying to go 4 for 4. Now it's 0 to 1. Okay. So that's my first thing. But go ahead, Yasendi. So I just want to put on the table that when it comes to education, which democracy needs, Liberia doesn't have it. What are we ranked when it comes to um, secondary education in West Africa? What we are ranked in the bottom 4 when it comes to Human Development Index in the world, right? We are like 37th percentile. That is putting expat children in it. When I talk about 37th percentile Human Development Index, that's a number that people look at and say, if a child born in this country, and everything goes as it goes in that country, the probability of that person being able to take care of themselves at a middle class level is 37%. That's the
It's
best this
true.
country can offer.
Yeah.
Liberia's at 37%, which is in the bottom 4. Some countries are in the 80 percentile. 80% chance that child will be successful, be able to take care of themselves. Liberia's at 37%.
So Peter, that means if you are 37%, you're not even halfway up. You're not even at 50%. That means the likelihood that you will be able to take care of yourself is literally almost impossible. That's what it
Yes,
means. That's
yes.
37%.
You can be a beggar.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's you will be dependent. You will be dependent in so many words. Okay, you will be. So you talk about what we need for democracy to thrive, and we started you started to talk about the different pillars that is needed. We talk about representation. We do not have representation. We have people who come in, beat their chest, um, because we don't understand what is needed, and we vote them in because either somebody knows them that we will be able to. In fact, we vote people so we will have an opportunity to beg them, so to speak, or because somebody knows them, and so I have a means to know them. You talk about with freedom. We do not have freedom of press in Liberia. The press do not even have the funding, so survivorship kicks in, and whoever can pay for press, they're not really an independent press in Liberia. So, or freedom of speech per se, because now when you talk about freedom, they are telling you if you spoke up, you're speaking bad against the government. Even if you have an opinion that is concrete, that you have legitimate reason, you don't have to agree. And you may be wrong, but if that's what you see, that's what you see. And that's what the Constitution does not say you should agree because other people agree. It's a freedom of speech. Okay. And in every democracy, for any democracy to be considered, you have to have freedom of the press or freedom of speech. You don't have that. You have to have justice, right? We don't have a justice system. Does the law work? You talk about what the lady named Gloria Scott issues, where she was sentenced, went to jail, The new government came, they put her out, um, and said there was not enough evidence. They did not say the president pardoned her. They said there was not enough evidence, but there were not new evidence that were introduced. So I will stop here.
Yeah. So I'm going to come to that too because you need justice to have democracy.
Hmm.
So I wanted to start and just use this four pillars, right? This table has to stand on four legs. So the first leg that you need is informed populace.
Hmm.
We cannot compete with the world when it comes to how we prepare our children. If you can't do that, if your education system does not allow you, whereas you can speak in a nuanced way about something that is global, you aren't ready to be a democratic country. Okay. So Liberia doesn't have the educational foundation. And and here's the thing, it's a major indictment on these people that we are electing, because I'm not going to victim blame. Um, it's often
Right,
you see on Facebook people talk about, listen to this graduate, listen to what this graduate said and how this
right.
spoke, or some kid is regurgitating some whatever words he was given, which to me is impressive because the kid can memorize that. That means that kid has the ability to retain information.
So retain and retrieve.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
retain and
So,
retrieve. Yes.
so that person, that kid is brilliant. It's just being misused, right? As an educator, I see the value to that, but regurgitation is not intelligence, right? But it's a form of intelligence. The fact that he can retain information and
Yeah.
spit it back, right? But there's no
Spit it out.
critical.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no critical thinking. There's no actually synthesizing words, using of phonics and pronunciation of words. The kid just can memorize words, right? Or someone just misspeak and using bad terms and bad grammar, like we saw some teacher. I'm like, yeah, but when was the last time that teacher had teacher training? So what I'm saying is the education system is flawed, and it's an indictment on the people that we have picked to lead, because that's the first thing you must fix if you're going to have a democracy. The next thing I'm going to talk about is what you just talked about. You must have the rule of law. Why is that? When you have the rule of law, fairness goes. People don't take the law into their own hands when they know that you're going to take care of it.
Right.
Yes, Andy. One of the jobs that I used to do, and I still do, work with very young kids. And I used to work at this, used to be this director at this big after school program. We were servicing, like, I don't know, after school, about 140 kids would be dropped off on the bus, by buses until their parents come and get them, like around 5 or 6. Um, my job there was to make sure it was supervise all the kids. When they got there, they got snacks, they got to do their homework, they got to be peaceful after they're done with their homework, they got to play until their parents came and got them, right? But just make sure the kids were okay. It's been a long day.
Right.
Here's what you notice when you're working with kids, even with the high school and older kids. When a child comes to you and say, this person looked at me or this person hits me or hit me, and you don't address it, guess what happens? I'm talking about 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds. Guess what they stop doing? They
Right.
stop telling you. They start
Right.
to hit back. They start to defend themselves. This is what
Right.
happens in democracy. This is a microcosm of democracy. When you don't have the rule of law, when you don't have fairness, when you don't have justice, people get to take the law into their own hands. That is an unsafe environment. That's not a peaceful place to be in. That place does not get to prosper. People don't get to put foundations there of their businesses or things they have worked for very long. People are unhappy. And what's the purpose of life? The pursuit of happiness. That's why it's in the preamble of the American Constitution.
Right.
So when people are now happy and people get to, the crime rate is high, when people have to pay police officers to arrest someone who who aggrieved them, you don't have the rule of law. When you get to burn down and commit terrorism and burn down your state capitol building, you don't have the rule of law. Laura Musu Scott, when you get to remove her, okay, I mean, you could have pardoned her. It was up to the president. He could have just pardoned
Yeah,
her.
he could have. He could just have. Yes.
But when you said, "Oh, it was not enough evidence used. It was a criminal thing. It was or CDC. It was a political thing," and you just remove her out of jail, so it wasn't. Even though it's judicial, you can't just go and say you're out of jail. And he did that. You don't have the perception of the rule of law. So that's the second pillar I want to talk about, right? Second element, rule of law, right? When the law evenly applies to every single person. Okay, when you have that and people knows that we all live by the same standard, you have more peace, you have more stability, you have more investments. If you were to talk to any Liberian right now, they won't tell you that they believe that the law applies to everyone evenly.
Right.
That means just on that perception alone, we don't have the rule of law because people don't see it as that, right? Because of all the things that has gone on in Liberia, that goes on in Liberia. Okay. So second step, we don't have the education that's needed to have a democracy. We don't have the rule of law. Okay. The table is already leaning to one side.
Right.
Okay. So remember now, why are we going down this list? I'm saying we selected a guy who's going to represent us in DC with people who believe in social Darwinism, and he's supposed to represent the downtrodden people of Liberia. And I'm saying we selected the wrong guy because the process in which we use to pick him is flawed. This is why I'm going down this list. So anyway, I'm going to stop here, and after talking the rule of law, you can come in.
Okay. All right, Peter. So let me look at my note again, so I can flow there, because I tell you we're so moving on. Okay. Um, Give me 1 second here. So you talked about two of the pillows. I talked about one or two. Where am I? Where am I here? Okay, here we'll go, Peter. So I'm looking here. So you're talking about representation in the DC area, and I think it's something that both of us have been struggling with. We've been talking about it all day. First, let me come back. I'm not sure if any of you know about what just happened last week in DC area, where uh, the people of Rwanda and the people of the DRC, apparently, in fact, it's a known fact, they have been fighting for the last almost 30 years. They have been over 15 million dead, placed cattle. These are two African nations. These are two Black people. These are neighbors. These are people who are entwined by culture, by history, even by gene. You see them, they look the same. I'm raising my voice, and somebody will say, why? Okay. That they will rather take their wealth and give it out to people who have no regards for them, per se, who don't even see them. They will either leave the continent, cross the ocean, come on the other side of the ocean to have somebody different. Peter said, social Darwinism. You'll go pick that. I'm not going to get into it. I need to be safe. Okay. People who believe in certain things, okay, to come to take over your resources. But you wouldn't want to share that resources with, I know I'm varying of Peter, your brothers and sisters in the same region, on the same continent, divided by the colonizer. Now, these are people, mind you, I'm coming somewhere with the Peter. These are people who have something to negotiate. These are people who have product that the world needs. These are people who have what you call cobalt, that literally everything that we do, we need it for our cell phones, we need it for electricity, we need it to run our electric cars, we need it. Okay. Now, you have an old man who, even sitting on the ECOWAS platform, no disrespect to you, cannot answer economic question. Okay. And will be coming to represent us. Number one, these people have cut off all the aids. We have no plan as to where we are headed. Okay. So we are not coming to negotiate per se, but we are just excited. We are just excited to show up. It's like you took a baby to the mall and they see a Santa Claus. All they want to do is jump in the Santa Claus lap. Okay. That's what we are doing. So, and people are probably writing, yes, the conversation will be one-on-one with the two presidents, one-on-one. You should be afraid. You should be very afraid. There used to be a commercial on radio, on TV, that used to say, you should be scared. You should be very scared, because your life, 5 million people's lives depend on it. But 5 million is a drop in the water for 340 million, and with shocks that less than 1% of them can control the whole world with their money. Who have all the experts in the world. They can pay for everything. Who already have analyzed you. They know what you're worth. They know how you negotiate. They know how corrupt you are. They know your justice system does not work. They know that your population, you say you got 62, 63% literacy rate. No, you don't. Your schools have stay in muds. Your children are still sitting on the floor. No disrespect. I'm just being honest. Okay. But you are coming. Okay. But mind you, there is a young man right there in Burkina Faso who have been sent personal invite. He said, right now, next year we'll have an election. But before we do the election, I want to make sure the hospitals are functional. I want to make sure schools, there are enough school in the country that all children go to school. We make sure we ban early marriage. Okay. We want to make sure the populace is informed and educated. Then we will have democracy, right? But you are coming, and all of, even the so-called educated people are excited. One of the brothers who work on Wall Street is a broker, wrote today, if Liberia would take its best brain. And I said, best brain. And he came back and said, yes. And he said, you don't believe they are? Yes, they are best brains in Liberia, but we don't use them. So because the best brains are not on the table, we don't have democracy. Peter?
Perfect, beautiful segue. Best brain. That's why democracy matters. Democracy is just a marketplace of ideas.
Yep.
It's a free trade market where there are no restrictions and the best ideas win out.
Correct.
If you notice nations, yes, if you notice nations that have a great population always accomplish great things. Because there are a lot of brains, there are a lot of chances, a lot of bites at the apple. Okay, this is why democracy is important, because democracy allows everybody to speak. So after we hear them speak, we can say, I never thought about that. That makes sense.
Right.
Well, that doesn't make sense. And this is why it doesn't make sense. So we needed more people, again, to speak and select people. And it has to be based on merit. It has to be based on something that we can say, this is why this person is best. We are not picking leaders like that in Liberia. That's the problem we're having. And the type of people we're allowing to influence who gets picked. Think about it. You just said, Boycott cannot sit on the stage and speak about any economic system.
Nope. I saw that.
We have very
Nigeria.
proud people, very proud people, Liberians. We should hang our heads. We should be ashamed. How did we get here? You got conned by an old man who's spent his whole life in government, and cannot point out one distinguishable thing that separates him from anyone, and you sold this man to other people saying he's wise, and because he's been around some other woman who also squandered opportunities and pretended to be educated, so therefore he's going to be like her or something similar. So we don't ask critical questions. Let me go to the third leg that we need to have a democracy. You need to have a healthy economy. Healthy economy. What does that matter? What does that first mean? That means, can people go home and work and make livable wages? That means, can they get money to feed themselves, feed their family, clothe themselves, have some a low money to have electricity, just the basic functioning things, and then save just a little bit from the majority of the jobs in the country? The answer is no. How much does the average Liberian make going home per month? $400?
No,
800 bucks?
145
Okay.
majority,
Yes.
145 or less,
So
145.
so think about how grotesque that is.
Yes,
Okay. And that's the Liberia we have. We don't have it. We have desperate people. You can't have democracy when you have desperation, which is going to
correct.
bring me to my fourth and final point in a second. The reason why America presses because of the middle class is because when you have people who are desperate, people make desperate choices,
Choices. Yes,
and it gets to affect everybody in society. You don't get then survival kicks in. You're not making decisions that with the majority in mind. You're making decisions with your survival in mind. This is what we have in
right.
Liberia, right? We have desperation because we don't have a healthy economy. What is the what is the employment? I'm not going to say unemployment rate. What's the employment rate in Liberia?
10%.
10%, right? If you include government officials and all this, 15 at
10%.
best. Think about that. We don't
10%.
have that. So of the four pillars I'm going to talk about, we don't already have three. We don't have
You don't
education.
have justice, you don't have freedom, you don't have equity because there's no
Okay.
fairness, you don't have representation, Peter. You don't.
Yeah. But just the three I went over, right?
Yes.
And then I'm gonna touch on your part. You must have that element of education, of educated
Yes.
populace. We don't have that.
That's where
You
equity
must,
comes to play. Mhm.
yes, you don't have the rule of law, right? Every student
Justice.
cannot doesn't have a chance to rise to the top. And they
Right.
don't have the chance to go to the best schools, right? You
Mhm.
don't have the rule
Yes.
of law. The law doesn't equally apply to everyone. Okay? You don't have a healthy economy. Our economy is run by foreigners. Our people are desperate for everything. Every money is remitted to Liberia is remitted out of Liberia within a day. If
Yep.
our people are going to buy
It
resources,
comes right
because
in and goes right with
yes,
capital flight. Yes, Peter.
yes,
Sorry, I'm gonna put myself on mute.
it goes back out to other countries that are there working on their country, helping their country. So we don't have that, right? So of the four pillars I'm going to talk about, four elements I'm going to talk about, we already don't have three. What is to hold this table up? Okay. What is holding this table up? We don't have three of the four. All right. And the fourth thing I'm going to talk about, we don't have a we don't have a social network system. What does that mean? That means when our people are hungry in America, they have welfare, they have food subsidies, um, they will have housing, they will have childcare. Well, Trump is getting rid of a lot of those now, but they have a lot of things for desperate people, right? People who are poor, they have church groups they can go to. All
Yeah.
right. They
You got
have
food
all
banks.
these,
Yep.
yeah, they have food banks.
Hmm.
We don't have that in Liberia. So our people are going to be desperate. Remember now, you can't have democracy when you have desperation. I want to know four pillars. We don't have the education. Nobody here will come and argue say the majority of Liberians are educated to a point where they can make decisions on national decision based on the greater good. No one will make that argument. So we don't have education. We don't have the rule of law. The law doesn't apply to each person evenly. And there's not, people don't feel safe and peaceful in their own homes, right? We don't have an economy and we don't have a social network. What is this democracy you're talking about then? Where? We don't have justice. We don't have, you need to have those things. America have the electoral college because they felt like they were not ready for democracy. The people hadn't had enough to make the decision because as we're learning now, America has a king. They made that person a king. And the executive power he has, he can will it like a king can. And there's very little, unless you have a majority in Congress, there's very little you can do to stop him. And that's what we're learning now. So America says, we need this thing called the electoral college so that we don't allow people to ruin their own lives, right? We need to protect them from themselves. What does Liberia have? Who's Liberia's electoral college? I would argue it's us. Those of us who were lucky enough to leave and learn book in these people's country, learn how they organize their country, how it's structured, why it works. It's like a car engine. There are people who are engineers or mechanics who knows how it works. Some of us just know you put gas in, you turn it in.
We'll put gas in it and go. Yeah.
Okay. Some people know, oh no, it's a carburetor. Cars don't have carburetors anymore. Oh no, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. They can tell you exactly what's wrong. They can diagnose the problem. We don't have that. Okay. We don't have those things in Liberia. Why are we forcing democracy down our throat? And if we don't have those things in Liberia, what can we do to have it? The good news is there is this electoral college. It's us, right? And I think that we shirk that responsibility too often. Okay. What do I mean? We abdicate that responsibility. I think those of us who are here, because we just said Liberia doesn't have the system needed to have a functioning democracy, those of us here who sit on our hands because people are going to cuss at us when say Joseph Boyka is 100% absolutely probably one of the worst people you could have selected. He's absolutely incompetent. He doesn't know how country runs. He doesn't know how the world functions. And people are going to cuss at you. Some of us are shy or afraid to speak truth to power because he's older. And how about the lives that's been destroyed because we have this man? Your job as part of the electoral college, if you live in New Zealand, if you live in Australia, you live in England, you live in any place outside Liberia, what you have learned and you've seen that, nope, the problem is how we are functioning with this government because we have the same constitution as the United States, and their country is thriving, and we have the same constitution as a lot of other countries, right? We're not holding their feet to the fire. We're not speaking truth to power. Because a lot of times we pick these leaders based on dogma. What do I mean by dogma? It wasn't based on merit. You didn't ask hard questions and then act like a jury. Okay? Puff Daddy was just on trial. P. Diddy. He did some horrible things, grotesque things. I wouldn't leave my kids around him. I wouldn't want anyone that I loved to be around a man like that. He got acquitted on 3 of the five heavy federal charges on him. Why? Because they have a system. The jury went and says, why didn't they just convict him like, oh, he's a bad person? Nope. They were giving specific instructions for specific things. Although we all wanted to see this bad person taken out of society, if it doesn't have this element, he's not guilty. If it's not beyond a reasonable doubt on this element is not guilty. This is how countries function. We need to speak truth to power, and we need to follow system and rules and procedures, or else you don't have a country. Countries that just act on emotions and dogma, right? Oh, that's my tribesman. Oh, I think he's going to be good. You can't articulate why you believe he's going to be the best. You're picking the wrong people for the wrong reasons, and you're going to keep having the wrong results. You're going to keep having zinc houses. You're going to keep having hospitals with no medication. And the people who run the hospitals taking out the medication and running a private clinic with the government's money and pocketing the money. You're going to keep having kids sit on the floors and teachers who are not prepared to teach because they don't have mastery of the information they're even supposed to be teaching. We're not paying them. You're going to keep having police officers begging for money. You're going to keep having kids graduate high school with nothing to do past that. Graduating college with no careers. Everyone wants to be in government. We're going to keep having foreigners run our economies, the hardware stores, the grocery stores, the hotels, anything that makes real money. They're going to keep doing that. Why? Because of how government is functioning. The only people that can make the government function the way it must function is us. And you're being a coward. You're being weak when you don't speak truth to power and you don't hold them accountable. Joseph Boycott was picked using that system, right? Not based on merit. Not people sitting there and debating why that idea is best. Not using a marketplace of ideas and saying, let's debate this. Let's talk about how we're best going to have an economy. What's the growth? What's the strategies? What's step one? Then what's step two? How we're going to pay back our loans? How we're going to get credit so we can build the roads we need? How we're going to do that? How we're going to save for the next generation? How we're going to address our housing crisis? Or the fact that we have a huge capital flight problem, or the fact that people are literally stealing our natural resources in helicopters and no one's checking them and they're leaving, taking it out the country. When are we going to stand up for the next generation? Who's going to speak to that? Oh, the man from Lo-Fi, so the man's UP, I'm UPN. You are betraying the country. You're muted, y'all. You're betraying the country.
That's what I've been hearing. You hear a city lawmaker say the man from Lofa, I'm from Lofa. A political party leader say the man from Lofa, I'm from Lofa. So that's where our loyalty. There's no agenda. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I'm going to put myself on mute again. Sorry.
No. I was closing. I was closing on this, right? Yeah, those are dogmatic ways to pick president and pick any leader. And here's the thing, guys. Dogma. That is a belief in something, an assertion without facts, not based in facts and logic and supported by facts, verifiable facts. The world was a very, very ugly place before what was called the Enlightenment, before the scientific revolution. The scientific revolution, all science was if you make a claim, be able to prove it. And show me the steps that you use to come up with that, and let me be able to duplicate that. Once you're able to do that, you have facts, you have science. The world was fighting each other. Everyone had their beliefs. This is the thing that attacked religion. Everyone believed in whatever they believed. That's fine. It makes you happy. But you can't impose that on other people. And because people believed that their God wanted something else, and people just had these beliefs that couldn't be proven, the world was an ugly place to live. There was war and chaos everywhere. Until these people called skeptics says, hold up, man, let's prove some of this stuff. And if you can't prove it, don't put it in government. Okay, that's when the world became a peaceful place. And this one we had the scientific process. This one we started to have medicine. Okay, this one we started to have government. This one we started to have peace. You can't pick stuff based on emotion or some arbitrary reasons why you connect to this person. What's the goal here? The goal is to pursue of happiness for everyone. Okay, so what's the process to get to that? Not because this person's in your tribe or they're in your political party, and now you have this party identity with this person, so therefore whatever they do, you support. Well, that's betrayal. That's treason. So a lot of us are treasonous. And I'm asking that we call these treasonous people, traitors, because we have to pick the best leaders. Okay, we're not picking our leaders based on the things that we need to pick them up. All right, and that's why we keep having people that Joseph Boyka. Now he's going to represent us in DC with a person who is not going to give him any kind of respect. How do you believe Liberia is going to benefit from this meeting? Think about that. And how would anyone debate that? How do we stand to benefit from this? We're literally going to get slapped around and say, these are the resources, this is what we want access to, or else. And there's going to be no respect past that. And he can't speak. What if they're asking, what's these resources you have? What's the numbers? What have you gotten from this resources? Can this man speak, articulate the global prices of things and why it matters to us, how it affects us? We've never seen him demonstrate that before, but we picked that guy. We picked that guy. Now a person who understands global economy. We picked him. He couldn't tell you about any economic system. We picked him. Now he gets to represent us. And it's going to be a disaster because of that. Go ahead, Yasin.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much. So we're talking about the different pillars of democracy, where we consider democracy, how a successful democracy will look like. Okay, now Peter talked about education. I just wanted to highlight a few things. When we talk about equity, okay, equity, justice, equity has to be in everything. All right. Today, a young man whom I talked to Peter saying that your son, yes, that's my son. When the child is good, that is still the mother's child. When the child is acting up, it's still the mother's child, no matter where the child turns. Okay. Mr. Cully, I see Abraham Dode, who came out to say, oh, the moment you touch Cummings, I don't really care about what somebody say about Cummings. Cummings can handle his home. You know who he is. But when it comes to education in the country, it is not an individual effect. It is a government effect. When the people take the resources and put it in your hand, this is where we come to about the 4 pillars. We talk about justice. We talk about representation. We talk about freedom. Okay, you put freedom in perspective, however you want to put it. Then we talk about equity, fairness. Your education, there must be equitable education. Okay, equity in my classroom. Let me tell you where equity looks like in my classroom. In my classroom, equity looks this way. If a child is left-handed, I do not give them an armchair that is for a right-hand person. Okay, so the child is left-handed. If you give them a right-handed chair, although they have an armchair, but that armchair does not give them fairness. It does not give them the same draft as the person who is right-handed. That means the child have to twist all the way on the other side to be able to write with their left hand. So I have to make sure that the children in my class or the child in my class has a chair, an armchair that is left-handed, although we don't use armchair anymore. Okay. Now, it is the responsibility of the government. Let me pour a few things up here before I put this. I'm going to put something up here really quickly, and I'm going to move this, Peter, really quickly so everybody can see. All of these right here that I'm posting, these are all government effect. Okay. Healthcare is government effect. Environment, safety is government effect. Defense is governmental effect. Education is governmental effect. Agriculture, food security in the nation is governmental effect. We're not saying the government will plan, but the government will provide incentive for people. Like for instance, in the United States, we give subsidy to farmers. Farmers are not poor. Farmers are rich. Most of the food that leaves the world that goes to war-torn country, that comes to Liberia, okay, for help, for care food, and the care food is the one you use at the schools, okay. Those food are subsidized and bought from farmers in America, okay, to send around the world. When you hear USAID, okay, energy, it's a governmental effect, okay. National security is the government effect. How does government own this? All right, we're going to come to that. Now, let me move this. Let me show you a school for the everyday Liberian, okay, who elects staying in line for 9-10 hours to elect you. So let me play this for you so you can see. This is not me. I do not own copyright to this video. This video belongs to Liberia, examining Liberia under the microscope. Okay, this is their work. So I have no copyright to it.
Somebody will say, I know Barbara. I don't call it Barbara. This place, we are in Quingbas Town. And this is the Quingbas Town Public School. Which client are we in? Yabayong Klein, former district, Lower Bond County, number 7. For the family is a representative of this district. We have county education officer, we have district education officer. Now, let me take you in the public school. Because public school, when they say public, it's owned by the government, and they're going to own it. Now look at the school. This is the Ministry of Education run school. The Ministry of Education running the place here. I think it's an office here. So, but look at the fellow Liberians. Look what they did here. All the millions of dollars given to the Ministry of Education. This is the Quingbas Town Public School. This is where the people, the young generation, the children who's supposed to take over from Waka, His Excellency, the children who's supposed to take over from Richard Kuhn, the children who's supposed to take over from Vice President Pan, Lucky Lawrence, they're supposed to take over. This is where the state settlement is. You see here, June 6, 2025. June 6, 2025. So yesterday, the children sat here. This is where they sit, right here. Gio, come. We in class. Gio, come. We in class.
So Peter, I'm going to stop right here. This is a classroom, Peter. This is the classroom. Okay. This is the classroom. So we're talking about equity, right? We're talking about equity. We're talking about fairness. We're talking about equality, because equity not just come under equality. It's a higher order of equality. Okay. Fairness. Okay. Bringing, and I use the example, you giving a right hand, or what do you call it, armchair to a left-hander. That's equality. You're giving all of them armchairs, but you are not giving equity. Look at that school and look at the school of the government official. They're packing their kids, they're leaving now, they're sending them to international school. You know, today, Martin Colley wrote something about Alexander Cummings School, how it was expensive. I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem with what he wrote. Here is my problem. Alexander Cummings have never worked for government. Do not work for government. Okay. He came and told them, give me your country. I can fix it. I've done that somewhere before. I did it to Pillsbury. I did it with Coca-Cola. I can come and do. When you were at war, that was war. Ebola, I show up, I help, I navigated and used my position to navigate the system in America, get a lot of people on board to come to help out, to bring attention to the Ebola in Liberia, to make sure it was attacked for people to leave. Okay. I turned around, I built the first STEM, because that's where the word is headed. He built that STEM building in 2015 before we went to him, saying that what he has done from his record from our community. We went to him. It was not something, it may have been his plan, but we went to him to ask him. Now, that is the first STEM school in Liberia. The people that are there, most of the teachers that are there, they are trained teachers that can leave Liberia and come and teach in America. We know, and some of them have been teaching in America. Okay. So they're teaching, science, technology, math,
engineering,
and engineering. And engineering. That's where they are teaching. Okay. So those children, you think about those children and the children in that. My thing is, and this is not to defend anybody, Mr. Cummings again can defend himself. If my children, all 4 of my children started at a private school, But when I look at the lesson that they were bringing in, I saw my daughter, Alyssa, was suppressing it. Cameron were doing the same. I said, no, there's no need to go. We kept Cameron down until Alyssa was born. And then when Alyssa got to second grade, we transferred all of them to the elementary school because the elementary school, which is the government school, had more amenity. Okay. The school was bigger. Okay. There were a lot more that was involved. There were band, there were orchestra, there were peer leaders, there were cheerleading, there were a lot of stuff that were involved. And I'm like, okay, I can save the money for college. Even if they don't use it for college, I can give it to them when they're graduating from college, right? So you are fighting individuals, but I have not heard him talk about Thomas Fala because Thomas Fala is from Lofa Kante and he's with Bwaka. Thomas Fala put money in our budget in 2014, 2015, okay, 2013, and built himself a school and a university when he was a part of Ways and Means. Jeremiah Kun put money in our budget to build a hospital in his mother's name. When the election was coming, he decided he would run. He said he turned it over to the government, although the government is the one paying for it. So now we do not have equitable system, okay? We do not have freedom. You do not speak. If the government, which is their responsibility, let me put that again, education, okay, is a governmental effect. It is the responsibility of the government. And not only is it is constitutionally a right. It's a human right. That's Article 6 of our Constitution. So, Peter, when you say these pillars are not present, freedom, our people get out, they want to speak, they send police to beat them up. Children stand up because their schools are not being, we beat them up. And I will also show you the today's LU. Okay? Now, Peter, I'm going to stop here. Today, I drove around to show my daughter's school, and I'm going to just show a bit of it, just to bring Liberian people to that place before we end. So, Peter.
Yeah, so I want to pick up where you left off. I was listening to you. I forget the U.S. ambassador's name that says
McCarthy. Is this the best you can do? McCarthy, yes.
McCarthy.
Yes.
Not only did he say, "Is this the best you can do?" So you have a white man from an industrial country that comes to Liberia to shame our government officials because it didn't start with just George Weah. It didn't start with Joseph Boycott. It didn't start with Ellen, right? Or mostly Ellen. He says, after observing what he observed, it seems like the leaders have contempt.
Yes.
Contempt for our people.
Of the people of Liberia. Yes.
Yes. He's saying that it is what I saw was so bad. It looks like you hate these people.
You hate these people. Yes.
You hate your own people. Like you have like intense hate for your people.
That's what it is. Intense hits.
Yeah. Right. So that's what he meant when he said contempt, right? Like you really hate these people. Think about that. Right. I want to take it even bigger. Again, how did we get here? We got here because people ask Mr. Cummings and people like him, what have you done for Liberia?
Yep.
And I'm begging that we call those people out. Here's what you call them out saying. Guys, let me start by saying this. There is no nation that was built because some leader went and took his personal money and started bringing factories. Ask them to name one country, one country in this whole world that was built like that. No nation was ever built like that. So they're literally playing basketball and they're moving the goalposts when we're allowing them to do it when someone shoots the shot. That's not how no nation is built. You take the best mind and you look at his track record and say, maybe this person is able to do that because they've done this, and this before. You see a person like Cummings, and I'm saying this is an obstacle that we must overcome if we are the Electoral College of Liberia. What nation was built because the person came and did the heavy lifting? No nation. Governments do the heavy lifting. What I mean by heavy lifting, the government must provide the electricity. The government must provide an environment where people are able to create private sector jobs. That means give them the loans, give them the tax breaks, build the structures if you have to. Okay, give them the expertise, the training, the support. Okay, the scaffolding. They need to build the scaffolding, the things that will hold them up. They need to build the scaffolding. The government does that with the resources of the country. And we are saying our country has a lot of resources to build the structure and the skeleton. But we have people taking the bones and eating it. That's the problem. We can't build the skeleton. We have the resources to do it, but people are taking the skeleton bone and selling it and taking the money and giving it to their own families.
Yep.
No country is built like that. That's a point we cannot move past quickly. No country is built because some guy brought factories. That's not how it works. Nobody brings factory to a country. So many things must be in place for that factory to come, to give people jobs. And even when they have jobs, are people getting paid livable wages with those jobs?
No.
The government does that. Stop asking leaders and wannabe leaders what have you done? Because what that happens is it recycles the same type of people. You just up a Thomas Fowler, right? Yes, they will take money from the government and do things for people. This stuff happened here. It was called the spoil system. It was called political machines. So if a few people who have access to your money gives you a little drop of the water when you're thirsty, you say, oh, I'm only going to take water from people who have water, then you're never going to get out your position because they're using you. Okay? No individual does that. No country was built like that. And if it was, please, by all means, educate me. Ask them to educate you on that. No nation in the world was built like that because private citizens brought the factories or they used their own personal money to build roads. It's never happened.
And most of those who are into that building stuff, they're doing it for business purposes. They're not going to go run.
No nation was built because some guy did this, so therefore we picked him to lead. None. And that point needs to be made. None. No nation did, what did you do lately? Coming shouldn't have to say, I did this, I did that. We have the wrong premise. He shouldn't have to mention that. And we are allowing these people to spew that, to set that as a bar. That bar needs to be taken down. Let's talk about what Martin Coley said about his school being expensive. He needs to make it more expensive because things should be exclusive. That's his private business. He's not supposed to be a philanthropist to be a leader. As a matter of fact, he should be able to charge $1,000 a month if he wants. How does that disqualify him to set the standards and the system and procedures in our country? What are you talking about? We are allowing them to set the wrong premise, and we sit there and we're debating at the standards they set. We're wrong. That question needs to be attacked. What is it? Tell me the country that was
Peter. People came for him. People came. He was bombarded.
What country was built because people? What nation was built because people? A private citizen brought a factory. Name that country, Martin Coley. I know you just left Liberia, so you don't know much about any other country. But some of us left, and we actually tried to study how other people did their government, and we learned that no country was built like that. None. Zero. Absolutely zero. Stop asking the man to give his money before he can make himself viable to you as a leader. We're setting the wrong standard. And the thing that you're doing is how we get a person like Boycott, because that's a person you supported. That man is extremely bad for our country. And you support him because you don't know much about how leaders are picked. That's the bottom line. You can investigate who got a degree that's valid or who doesn't. Anyone can make those phone calls at university. Great. Keep doing that. But you don't know how nations were built. And if you do, let's talk about how nations were built. And what you're going to find is no country was built because a private citizen was using their private personal money to build the country and to create jobs. You sound like a fool doing that, saying that. And we let these people put down the table and we don't embarrass them. Okay, governments do the heavy lifting. Governments do. They built the roads with the country's resources. They give tax breaks to schools, the places that want to build schools, people that want to build schools. They give them the money, they give them loans, they forgive those loans, they give them the land. Governments do that, not some private person, not an individual. Us as a collective agree to take our money to build the bridges. They don't take the money and buy a bunch of cars for government officials. They don't take the money and create and go build a broadcasting station. No nation did that. That's not how they were built. They take the money and they create money generators with the money. They, in essence, turn the country into a business, into a viable business. They create a board that says, what's the best business we can run here? How is it going to be run? Explain that to me. And then they pick the best ideas. And they use those money to build the country. Every time I hear someone defend what companies that donated this and donated that, it makes me smack my forehead. That's it. You're literally fighting in the mud with a pig. That's the wrong premise. Country's not built like that anyway. Okay, it shouldn't go. Oh, George Weah went to the refugee camps. He was a celebrity. He was looking for women. They were on the camps. He went there. Yes. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean she gets to understand how you create jobs. He doesn't understand that. How you create private sector jobs, the environment. He doesn't know how to hold these people accountable, how to stop capital flight. The money that we send back home, the money that's leaving go to Lebanon and China and India. How do you stop that? We're still worrying about rice, subsidizing rice. That should not be the standard. That's lack of imagination and vision. We got to subsidize rice. That's what we're worrying about this time in our history. We should be ashamed. We're very proud people. We should be very ashamed, and we're not. This is not how nations are built. It's not how nations are built. Okay, go ahead, y'all.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. So as we come to a close, let me see where were we on this chapter. I told you I was going to show you something. So you anticipate the child that went to this school that's sitting on the floor. Okay. I just show you right there. That school. This is another school where the children are literally are sitting on the floor. Okay, this is a school. This is a school. This is the other one they show was in Bon County. This one is in Nimba. Right there where Jeremiah Kun is from. Okay, District 2, between District 1 and District 2, right here. The kids are sitting on the mat in an unfinished building. This place have no ceiling. We are Colombo windows. So if there were ever fire in this place, all of these kids are going to burn. There's no exit. There's no door at all. All right. And here it is. I'm going to stay here. But I'm going to also, here's Peter, show you. I did the video today really shortly. Then Peter, oh my God. Peter can come on. I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm just going to show you something. Y'all need to leave that alone. This is me earlier today. Oh, I didn't know. Hold on, let me do this. Okay. I thought I did that. All right. This is me right here. This is a school right here. I'm emphasizing. Okay, give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to show you all this school right here. All right. Like entry where our parents, everybody
Yeah, I know.
side. All right. This is the school that my baby that is going to. This is an elementary school, folks, Liberian people. She came right after, I think, after second grade. Okay, right. This is the back of the school. This is an elementary school view. I'm gonna go around it. There is a reason for which I'm doing this. Okay, because I'm gonna speak to it later. All right. This is the back of the school. This is the back. This is the back of the school. You have entrances or exits point. Okay. For safety and different level. At the bottom level, all of our schools do have a lower levels. All of them lower level per se. Okay. Now I'm going around. This is the back. This is usually the drop off for parents. If you go up where you see that staircase or walkway, if you see that big box that is up there, okay, that box up there, that is the standby generator per se. Okay, I'm gonna do it right here so we all get where we're going. And there's a reason for which I'm doing this. This is so I'm gonna stop right here, Peter. I'm gonna stop right here, and you can go ahead and you can talk to us. If you are there. That I just is that Logan? Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, yeah.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. Let me send them. You guys go upstairs. Grab it. Paper. Bye. I'm sorry. I got the whole crew here.
Is that your girls?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. All right. They're girls.
Okay. Yeah, I know. So yeah, Yasendi. So anytime the expectation, you guys go upstairs, you're making noise. Anytime you show what's possible, right?
Right.
This is where we can be. Okay. Liberia has so much potential.
Right.
And here's the thing that really affects me and has made me energized and wanted to be involved is as I work with the public and encounter Liberian children who are here, who are
Yeah.
in a better environment that they can
Mm-hmm.
grow, they
Mm-hmm.
are they're top of their everything. Athletically, academically.
Your kids, my kids, other
Yeah.
kids, and you see them, Peter. You see
Yes, we
them.
see them all the
Yes.
time,
Mhm.
right? So I'm like, I sent you the thing on Logan. I'm so proud of him, right?
Yes, I am
Um,
proud of Logan.
yeah,
Logan Intia is so proud of you. As like you were just born yesterday and you're
yes,
just kicking butts.
and I'm saying why he doesn't have a different brain than anyone else. How is he top of his? He goes to a STEM school,
Yes.
schools for all smart kids, and you're number one in that school. How is that? Well, it's just that his parents are intentional about what he's learning, and that could apply to every Liberian child. What are we doing? Are we sitting back? And we've done this for a long time. Again, I like putting the onus because it is on the diaspora and Liberians. We are
Yes.
the problem. It's not necessarily we're doing something bad, but we can do so much more.
Mm-hmm.
So much more.
Mm-hmm.
These people, we don't owe them anything. They don't owe us. We don't depend on them to live, so we can hold them accountable. We need to have a better school system. When's the next? When are we going to build? We built a broadcasting station. Why did we build a school?
Mm-hmm.
Why did we take that money and intentionally went after and recruited top teachers? When are we going to do that? And we allowing these people to do it as if they have some monopoly on how our children should be raised. We need to press that, and it is our responsibilities to do that, Yasin. And
Right.
we don't. We don't press on that, and whether we're afraid or we're too comfortable in someone else's country, it's not okay. We need to get more involved. That's or else unless we say
Well,
we don't
Peter,
respect
though,
democracy.
Peter, let me stop there. Let me stop there. I remember 3 years ago, you guys raised money for my birthday. I was starting to build a women's center, and I think I raised about $1,400. But there was a school in Mangibi that a lady from the United States built, but she could not finish it. She got sick. We end up finishing that building. Okay, this little girl now, she's doing farm on the Sequoia. Okay, was the one that we are give the money to finish that building. And besides, there's another guy, I think, but in California, he just passed last year, who built another Martin school in what do you call it, in Grand Bassa County. My brother, who is engineer, his wife is a doctor. They built the first STEM lab, because most of the work that is done in sciences in Liberia, there are no labs. Okay, like biology, chemistry, and all of that. Your school, all of your children from elementary school, they have STEM. They have a lab that they go to. Okay, they don't. And he tried. He did that for 8 years to try to get the government to come in to at least subsidize it. He didn't mind paying for it, but they didn't want to. He was feeding these children. He would train people. And the last time, the guy that was there, he rented a space for the guy to be living, bought him a car. The guy sold the car. He took everything and sold it. And that was then the first person. All right. So it gets discouraging. Sister Hannah built a 3-story school right there. I don't know which of the place, but I think it's in Monrovia. So we are giving, we are doing, but the government, most of the school that you and I have, they're government school. We got 143 schools in Georgia. 143. We got about 16 private schools. That's it. Here in Gwinnett County, not Georgia, in Gwinnett County. I'm talking Gwinnett County. But our budget, 30% of our budget go to education. 15% of that go to higher education. That's almost 45% of our budget. How much of our budget in Liberia are we intentional? Do one want to change? So that's what we need to do. We can do our part. Peter, you and I, we have kids. We got to listen for our children. You know, you used to say, when I first met you, you said, excuse me, my friend, I was born with little, I was left with shit, and I have to leave something for my children. So I'm doing what I need to do. I can't take everything that I have. I come from little means. Okay? I can't take what I have and put everything into Liberia. I can't. I just can't do that. Why are you looking at you coming from the gym like Richard? Where now Richard Simmons? Look at you blind. Where are your glasses, you man? Look at him. Oh,
Yeah, he just came from the gym. So
okay.
Cindy.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Again, it is not sustainable when you asking individuals to do it.
Exactly.
No country was built that way just because it's not realistic. It turns into a black hole. The reason why it's called heavy lifting, and the government must do the heavy lifting, because it's so cost intensive. It is extremely cost intensive. It's billions of dollars. No individual has it. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. To set that environment. So again, when we say this person did this person did that, those people shouldn't have had to do that.
Correct.
This great United States, England, those people did not start to thrive. China, just think about those countries. South Korea, all these countries we talk about. They didn't start to thrive until the government intentionally built the educational system, created the system and the structures before the people can go along with that. Okay, no individual did that. Again, I challenge anyone to say this individual in this country sparked that and did this, and he went from there and he became president. We need to stop saying people who are doing philanthropic work are the standard. That's not the standard. It shouldn't be the standard. That's an aberration. That shouldn't be what should be required. And we need to stop calling people out who saying, what has this person done for this country? We need to stop the debate, the debate right there and then. That shouldn't be the standard, because it's not the standard any place else in the world. It never has been from nations that came from poverty to prosperity. Stop making that. Stop legitimizing that argument and saying this person did that, this person could do this, because now this is why these people in government steal money and give a little back. So now their place remains, calcified, because they did give back, but it wasn't their money. But because you set that as a standard, so now it remains that way. Okay,
Yep.
and we're never going to have the best leaders if we keep doing that. Go ahead, Rick.
Emma, good afternoon. Where are you coming? Like you coming from Richard Simmons workout gym?
Well, no, I think the only thing I need my speedo on. That's it.
I beg you, please save us the thing. Save us that.
Right. You guys doing a great job. I feel bad, right? I have to adjust my time on Thursday to be able
Right,
to make it, right? To be on
right.
time. I'm not used to being late. I'm a professional person.
Mm.
You see, I don't
Yes.
know where you guys at right now. I don't want to regurgitate on what you guys have already talked about.
So,
So
so
Yeah, I can
okay,
quickly catch
Peter,
up.
bring him to
We're
speed.
just talking
Okay.
about nation. We talking about democracy. We talking about what we are asking our people to do. We talked about what we're asking our people to do before we even allow them to take a leadership role or to even
Mhm.
listen to them. We're talking about because we have done that. Look at the type of people we've picked to lead. We have Joseph Boyka, who's about to come to the United States to meet with a social Darwinist who doesn't respect other high-level people in countries that matters. How is he going to respect Joseph Boyka if we're not going to our resources not just going to be plundered? Like it's even worse, but now just by a different country. We just saying we're looking at the leaders we pick, why we getting these type of leaders and their mindset and the expectations we're setting for the next group of leaders. We showed kids sitting on the floor, how these people are not being intentional about raising our kids. That's what we're talking about.
all right. Leadership entails a whole lot. First of all, you have to have a plan. It's one of the failures I see in this government. And we'll talk about it. You have to have a plan. I was just on the phone. I came in ever since I was on the phone with one of my childhood friends. Uh, and I keep saying when I made the post about the way the barriers are being done, it's not that I'm talking about we cannot have reconciliation. You cannot. You have to consider the people that are alive. You have to consider them. And to me, no consideration for them, no empathy, no sympathy. You just re-injuring them, re-traumatizing them. And so one of my friends wrote a post. And
Thank you,
Peter,
Peter. I mean, thank you, Emmerich.
yeah, a few days ago, Peter, as I read his post, I could tell that he needed help. And this is where I'm from, because we all come from a place in our country. We all got our own hurts, right? We all got these different things going on with us. So you're not focused on that. They are already dead. After you have had some reconciliation, rehabilitation with the victims that are alive, you can go and do the reburial. I mean, it's okay to do the reburial. No one is criticizing, but the order in which these things are done is just, for political expediency, to score political points. And once you try to score political points, the intent will change. Now you're going to gain some and you're going to still lose some. If you want to gain everybody, do it the right way. Do it the right way. Consider the feelings of everyone, people that voted for you, people that did not vote for you. The country is out of place.
Emmerich, hold your thought. So we
Yeah.
are almost at the end of the conversation. We were talking about democracy. We're talking about I think Peter, how you call it, it does the I think you're on
The
point.
elements and pillars.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're talking about his negotiation or his thinking faculty per se. I think that's what you're talking about.
but you see,
No,
yeah.
I'm coming, Emmerich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know you're talking about his decision process, right? Like working backwards. And I think that's the same thing we are saying about his decision process. How is he going to represent us? Okay. And we're saying that Liberia does not have the full pillars that is needed for democracy to be present. Number one, we're not an informed society. We're not educated. Two, there's no equity. The education system is poor. Like, for instance, Martin College today is going ballistic. He and his people, including my son Ibrahim, every time you say something about these are supposed to be the educated one that's supposed to direct the nation. You are misleading the nation. I think that's what we're speaking to. How does this man represent, or what is the plan? I think that's what you're talking to. Go ahead.
So this is the question. So you think that because people will come in defense of Mr. Cummings,
So that what makes it wrong. That what makes it wrong when people come in defense of Mr. Cummings. Then I think then there's no basis for your argument, no foundation for your argument. And that's why I said, Martin, if you are coming, you're a student of economics. If you are coming to talk about the issue in that context, you have to give a better presentation. You have to find comparable schools. You have to look at those things and compare and contrast and see, and look at the inflationary rate in Liberia. And then you say, but you know, the inflationary rate is this, but the school fees being quadrupled, and it's more than other schools that are offering the same thing. In fact, the schools that are more expensive not even offering close to what that school is offering. Because muted you, Cindy. You can talk.
Saying the school is a STEM school. There's no other STEM school in Liberia.
But you know the good thing, I had a conversation with one of my friends again, childhood friends. Her daughter attends the school, and she said she was grateful. She said, Emmerich, that amount of money, even though I'm a struggling parent, but for a school like that, I didn't believe my daughter was going to have that quality education. Okay?
And
that alone.
Emmerich, my niece used to pay $4,000 a year. Not 1,000, 4,000 a year. Turkish school, 4,000. I think it was more than 4,000.
You see me? I can name a couple of schools that way. First of all, this is the point. You see, government. When Peter talked about, Peter talks about government. He understands it.
Right, he does.
He understands it. So if you going to subsidize the school, government had not even met their quota. They have not even done that. So this is what's happening. The government should be able to subsidize. They haven't. The Communist, Africa Foundation, they've been carrying the heavy load, but you're not being appreciated that your government had fallen short on what they should be doing. And I think, to me, it's fair enough to call on the government and say, the reason why the school fee is like that is because you're not even giving your part per the agreement. But then you did not educate the people to say the government failed to do it. Then you look at it and say, oh, coming because he's running. That's why I said it's politics. And he said it's not politics. I said, but if you lay reference and say that, 2029, this is going to hurt him. And he ran after the election 2023, then he increased the school fees. Then the motive, everything changes. And we have to be fair about our intent. This is the reason why I said some people just don't have any integrity at all, because you have to be honest about your presentation. You see, for me, I keep saying, I take a position, a fair position. Am I honest? I'm not saying I'm the most honest person in Liberia. But if it had been the other way around, where it's someone else other than Cummings, I would defend that person the same way.
But we do.
Yeah, I would defend that person the same way. And this is the reason why you see today, even the issue with Fatiga and AB, right? AB was right for taking Fatiga out of court at his discretion. He was right for doing it. But when it comes to controlling the court as to Fatiga going to jail, and so AB has no jurisdiction, no control over it. He can tell the court what to do. And people don't understand me. That's why I started with Fatiga. Because they say, oh, but you and Fatiga, I don't know. I don't care, but because the person and myself, we have had personal issues before. So I will use that to be able to go against fundamental, principles and concepts and beliefs. And so, and then people don't understand when some of us speak, we speak because we have this conviction of upholding our integrity, honesty, and be ethical. This is the background, the backdrop, we from. So when it comes to governance, you talk about governance. If you don't plan anything, you Cindy, let me tell you this, you're bound to fail. You're going to chase everything and you will accomplish nothing. You're going to be all over the place. That's why you see government, when it comes to budget, it's all about planning. When you have a budget, you have to plan for that budget to see programs that the budget are going to support. All of those things don't come by mistake. You have to be intentional. You have to know the needs of the country, the wants of the country. You have to prioritize those things. And you can't come on and say because you want to score political points because you think 2029 the Southeast will be this way. So let me go to the Southeast and see how I can get the votes for Grand G. That's not being smart to me, though.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
not
you,
being
Emery.
smart.
Thank you, Emery. Let me go now to Peter. Peter, we talk about Tolbert philosophy from mat to mattress. What was the vision? What's the contrast? What's the past? What's the present? What approach the nation has in building a nation? So we're going to talk about. Then we're going to close with it.
Down.
We're gonna close with Tolbert ideology or his philosophy in respect to what his vision was, mat to mattress. What did that mean? It's coming to because everybody. Liberia is like a extremely abused, traumatized woman, right? You come from one relationship, you got flogged, you got abused verbally, your hair got poor, you got banged whenever he wanted to, even if he said no, whatever. Okay, you leave, you go to another guy. Okay, the God is brutalizing you, but it's not, and he's even doing it. How you call it? But he's doing it and apologizing at the same time as he's doing it. And then you go, I'm going to go back to the old guy because this other guy is worse than the other one. You are not moving forward. Okay. You are going backward. That's what Liberia is for us. Then
They call Liberia Hopo Joe.
Liberia Hopo Joe. That's true.
That's a Hopo Joe.
Emery, you a bastard. I follow you because people will record this part.
No, it's the truth. That's how they treat Liberia. That's how they treat Liberia.
I should not have said.
No, but that's how they treat Liberia.
Peter over there with smirk on his face. No, guys.
Peter likes it.
Liberia is a woman that just been abused over and over. But now, then the mindset is, how we got this, we call it rosy memory biases, where your past is always beautiful. Okay, you're going behind. You see Liberian people yelling, tell her what better. I want mom. They see Ellen Woodrow, they were pulling out yesterday and putting Kool-Aid and ketchup on it as a monthly. Now today they're praising her. She's the best thing that ever happened. Oh, when Taylor come back, we're going to bring we are back. That's the mindset. All right. Then it goes back to what's his name? To Tolbert. Tolbert was vice president for over a decade. Then he was president for 9 years. Okay. And if you look at, and I'm going to make a lot of people angry, including in Emmerich, Mr. Nico. Okay. When you look at the markup, okay.
Why do you think I'll be angry?
Yeah, because you come down there. Myself would be angry at myself because myself I can't go woman. You know what the people used to say, right? So you look at that, you see intermarriages, third cousin down the line. These people were either marry somebody from Barbados, from Nigeria, they marry a Liberian man. They were either give and everything that is happening in today's Liberia is the foundation that we lay. We would rather give an Indian man job than give it to a qualified Liberian. Okay, we would rather give a Nigerian, would import a Nigerian man, pay him $20,000 than pay a Liberian who is more qualified $20,000. Some of them, I heard them say, oh, the moment they get money, then they will come run against you. Okay, so this is what we are. What was the mindset? What was the vision behind that? Okay, we're talking almost close to 3 decades of being in power, being vice president to being a president. So what was the philosophy, Peter? What do you think? And then we'll go to Emmerich, then we can close up. I'm going to let you guys start, then we'll close up.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, we talked about nation building. There are nations that came from being poor to being extremely prosperous. We was very specific when talking about those nations. We talked about South Korea in details, how they did it, the processes and procedures that they use. We talked about Singapore, how they did it. We talked about Botswana, how they did it.
Yep.
We talked about Rwanda, how they did it. What we were pointing out was there was a pattern here you could follow. That was a recipe. that every single nation followed. They did it a little differently. They used different methods, but they used the same exact recipe to build. The truth of the matter is, the United States did the same thing with mercantilism. So did England. The government systematically built their country by supporting certain sectors and giving people chances to help build. Okay, all the inventions you hear about in America, the light bulb and all that, Thomas Edison, those people were given the facilities, they were given tax breaks, they were given workers, they literally infused things into their people to help them, right? They put wind in their sail. We did that. We talked about, I think it was Argentina was another country in Brazil. So what we did was we talked about Southeast Asian nations. We talk about African nations. We talk about South American. So you can't just be like, oh, all this. You always talk about Europe and America is not. No, other countries did it. It came. And Yassendi, you talk about who was the nation you talked about? Saudi Arabia. You talked about
Saudi Arabia.
So
Yes.
we looked at all these countries and said, no, everybody's doing the same process. Everyone's making their food the same way. We just don't have the plan. I believe the problem that we have. So now we're talking about Tupper, right? He had from mat to mattress. I don't know if any of you guys ever slept on a mat. It's probably the most uncomfortable thing there is.
I have.
Okay?
Slept on the farm and all.
So it's uncomfortable. So what he was saying was from mat to mattress was he's looking at all these countries and new nations like Ghana come about and gain their independence. South American nations gain their independence, and he saw them moving forward. Southeast Asian nation countries leaving from imperialism to being to self-governance and pursuit of the self-determination was the term I was looking for. He's like, the same thing can happen in Liberia. This is where Kwame Nkrumah came from. This is where he got his ideas from. This is where Marcus Garvey got his ideas from, right? And these ideas came from from post-World War II. Everyone believes self-determination. Countries can grow. Everyone believes they can grow. Just follow these plans. Came from the Great Depression. It is a very simple plan, people. Everyone's following it. So what Tupper was saying was, we can literally go from sleeping on mats to sleeping on mattresses. That's an improvement in the living standard, right? The mattresses is much more comfortable than sleeping on the floor on the mat, which was the norm. Okay, the question was, what is Boykott's nation improvement, standard of living raising plan? Have any of you guys heard about that? How he's going to take Liberians from one standard of living to the next?
Arrest.
Yeah, what part of arrest says we're going to take Liberia from one standard of living to the next?
Arrest. It's like you're talking to the government.
Well, I think the whole thing about arrest, you should see it reflected in the budget, right? When you have a plan, it should be reflected in your budget.
The budget is the reflection of your goal, your plan.
Yeah,
that is your plan.
Yeah, he has no vision.
Priority.
He has no vision, right? His plan is to, and I was hoping we got into that. His plan is literally to distract people by arresting people, all right? Saying I'm suspending someone for corruption. Bro, we don't care who you suspend. We know nothing's happening. Tell us how you're going to create jobs. Tell us how you're going to stop capital flight. That's what really matters. Anybody can suspend anyone. Anyone can do that. Tell us how you're going to compete with other West African countries. Tell us how you're going to protect our gold from leaving the country like it is on an industrial scale. That's what real leaders talk about. When are you going to talk about something real? Martin Coley. I believe Martin Coley talks like he talks. The same reason, Yasin, you and I are talking about it, I'm extremely angry at the Democrats because I'm a teacher and I believe in self-determination. I believe in bottoms-up economy. There are people who believe in top-down. That's why they're giving money to billionaires and millionaires. Those people are not ashamed of it because that's their philosophy. They believe if you give rich people enough money, they'll create jobs and poor people benefit. So give the job creators money. That's really how they look at it. And I believe no, help poor people, and some of them will one day become rich, but don't have them
Yeah,
suffer.
especially but if you press down on the middle class, so then
But
you
Right?
break
you
the
see
whole
me, you see me.
system.
No, I'm
Okay.
confused when you said talk about a vice president from 1952. I
All right.
like to
Can I
look up.
land on this point real quick?
No, go ahead, bro.
Love you guys. All right. So the point I'm making is, I just want to make one quick point. I believe the reason why I'm saying, when I say we are extremely, you guys shut that door. The reason I'm saying I'm extremely angry at Democrats for a lot of reasons, I've explained some of that to Yasendi, is the whole Michelle Obama, if they go low, you go high. I think that's one of the worst things ever said. You cannot do that with bullies. I'm not saying Martin Coley's a bully. What I'm saying is we need to
She
be on.
tries to be.
What I'm saying is bullies only bully people that believe they can beat. They don't bully people that they believe will punch them back. I believe we need to be on the offense. I've said this for years now. I believe we need to be on the offense. Look how many people on our team are watching, as if we're talking nonsense. As if we're talking nonsense. You couldn't bring a better informed group of people on the issues that affect the lives of so many people to speak about it. People on our team don't even listen. They don't even support that. You're going to continue to lose to Mega because they are on offense. They stay on offense. Go look at social media, see who dominates social media right now. Okay? And the things that Trump and his people are saying, and not things that the majority of people believe, but we are so scared we want to close our eyes and pray for some white Jesus to come and save us, instead of going on offense and saying, no, I must defend and protect my children.
Yep, that's
We're
what
being
exactly what I
coward.
said yesterday. Yep.
So Martin Coley is able to say what he's saying about STEM schools, even though it is absolutely based in nonsense. The man can charge whatever he wants for his school. He can charge $10,000 for his school if he wants, because it's a school and it's a business. That's why you have a free market economy. You can charge what you want, and it's up to consumers to consume it if they want or not. You don't have to run a philanthropy arm. Okay, and if you don't go on the offense of Martin, I'm almost close on this, Emmerich. If we don't go on the offense of Martin, he keeps doing it on other issues too.
Peter, but let's be candid. All right, you see, Martin, that post, he did not survive it. If you go and read
he did not. I told
Peter.
I said the people definitely they throw you up.
Peter, we come on when it's necessary. We can't just. I understand where you're coming from, right? When it matters, we come on. And take for Todd, I want you to challenge me. You say you're a student of economics, right? Then we're gonna go down that path. And he and my dear friend and brother, Paul Jackson, Dr. Jackson, we went at it. And I think, to me, they could not survive it. But Peter, my dad always said, if you come with the facts, right, it's hard in life to defeat you, no matter what.
Yeah, here's what. Go ahead, finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
No, here's where I step in, right? What is the highest rated news network in the United States? Do you know? Who gets the highest ratings?
I think right now
MSNBC, Fox.
Yeah, Fox,
CNN. Who's got the highest?
Yeah, I have not. I'm not going to pretend.
News One. Okay, Fox almost doubles MSNBC.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? Mass media matters, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm trying to make a point with that. The truth of the matter is Fox doesn't have the highest ratings. But if you look at the numbers, they do. Why am I saying that? Well, Fox appeals to who? They appeal to conservatives.
Conservative and illiterates.
Okay, but let's just look at the numbers. They appeal to conservatives, right? All right. Name another conservative national radio news station. Shut that door, Lopo. Name another one. No, Fox is it. So they almost have a monopoly. Yeah, they have News One, whatever, but their ratings don't come. They don't have a national network, right? Fox does. So all the conservatives put their effort, their viewership behind Fox. Okay, let's look at CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC. The numbers are splintered, so the numbers are going to look lower because when it comes to liberal networks, there are 6 major networks that are split in the numbers. So it seems like, oh, everybody's watching Fox, their ratings high. No. Imagine you got rid of all those other, and CNN was the only one. You think Fox can now compete? No. Well, no, it's too late, Logan. It is the numbers is too. There's too much, right? So what I'm saying is the point I'm making.
Okay, but Peter, you African papa. It's just like no, Logan. It's too late, Logan.
It's late. Knock on the door, and then come right back. What the point I'm making is this right here, Emmerich. Who do we go to propagate? Shut that door, Logan. Who do we go to that propagates on a daily basis the thoughts that we're talking about? Nation building, how economic. How do you pick a leader?
Peter, it's us right here, and most of the time they don't even support us.
There's a big difference. The reason why I say there's a big difference, you don't depend on the politics in Liberia for survivorship. One, Yesini does not depend on the politics in Liberia for survivorship. Some people do. So they commit, even though they are abroad, right? They commit their whole time, their energy, and everything into it. Put on the reverse. If your life, your entirety depended on the politics in Liberia, Peter, you will do the same.
So Emery, let me come in. Peter is not talking about just us, though.
No, I know where he's coming from.
Emery, when we were the first, who had what you call panelists. It was you, it was me, it was Peter, it was Doug, it was what do you call it, Cyrus,
Hawa.
You see, that's what I was trying to explain.
Okay.
All right.
No, but we didn't get the support that we needed.
But this is the point. Sometimes too, you go through this, you go through these things to realize and be able to make up for it. And I believe that going forward, we'll have a very strong media team. You know the reason why it did not work? Because we realized that the media team was the main problem. We needed to be on 24/7 on different.
Emmerich, if you can say that, because I was here. There were
what I mean, being here.
No, I was
you see, listen, Emmerich, we're having a conversation now. The reason why I'm saying it, being here and being supported in a way that your voice will echo in the different communities in Liberia, there's a difference there.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah, can I come in for a second, Emery? And I'm not going to say anything if you let me.
No, but you didn't give me a chance to explain what I was explaining.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, no, go ahead.
No, the reason why I was saying, I would not say that you weren't here, but when you supported that your voice was echoed all over in Liberia in the different, that's my point. That's my point. I'm not taking away from you. You've always been there. But this is the point. Like Peter saying, the support system, where we can support our voice, that we can be a lot louder than some of those. Okay, because we have the abilities and capabilities. We have the resources to do that. But we did not prioritize it. That's all I'm saying, you Cindy. I'm not taking it away. And that's the reason why, because you know what? The reason why you see me on this platform, I keep saying, you, Peter, and myself will have our differences, we argue. But when it comes to people that I can carry on a battlefront to say I believe that they will be consistent in fundamental beliefs and principles, you guys, am I saying you guys are perfect? No, but that's the truth.
None of us are.
Peter and myself, we get bitter, we argue on this. But you know one thing I know, if I need a person to stand behind me while I'm in front on the battlefront, I can trust him. Yes. Yes. Because you know what? I've understood Peter's beliefs, his fundamental beliefs, principles, and so. So the issue, I'm not taking away what I'm saying. Like what I'm just adding on Peter's saying. Once we start to support, for instance, one of us, let's say, everybody will have to support. Martin would not have a voice. The reason why he will not have a voice.
Today he was
No,
bombarded.
the reason why he will not have a
was
voice because
decimated. Yeah.
because you see, practically, professionally, educationally, there's a big difference. Whether he likes it or not. It's not because we're saying it. The reason why we're here today, because we have years of experience.
Right.
Because we have years of education, and we don't talk about it. But I want to see him come alive on any show with any of us to counter, to debate, one-on-one, back and forth. I want to see that. The day I see that, and I see Martin is able to survive that, Peter, I will give it to him. Look, Peter, I will do like this to him. The day Martin is able to put himself one-on-one with any of us when it comes to substance from start to end, I give it to him.
I will
but you know our society.
Martin, I will invite Martin Sunday evening. One of the Sunday evening will be on the air.
That would be great.
Yeah. No, but he tried that before. And Peter, remember, we were on. He wanted to come and say you're bringing. He wouldn't come.
It was disastrous. It was disastrous on even Spoon that wanted to hear from him so much.
He wouldn't come.
Right?
He wouldn't
come.
They
brought him on Spoon. Stanton was embarrassed. You see, the theoretical aspect of life is so different from the practical aspect.
And
we speak from the practical aspect because we experience it day and night on a regular basis, our normal lives, right? Peter, you're a coach. It does not mean that because you're a coach, a lot of coaching stuff did not apply to your career. No. You had the basic. You know how to make people to be prosperous. You know how to inspire people. Those are basic. Those are important things, attributes in life. Those are all leadership qualities, okay? Because if you weren't a leader, I will tell you this, nobody will even tell you that we'll coach anybody. If you're not a leader, I'm serious. It's no joke. If you're not a leader, Peter, nobody will hire you if they saw no leadership quality. Because, you know, people that occupy those positions, coaching and those things, it encompasses of a lot in life, not only just on the field of play, all right? On attitude, on professionalism, how to speak, how to talk, all of those things. So when they say you're a coach for a school, it's not just
yes.
It's a lot.
We respect our coaches.
How to
we
dress,
respect our coaches. I mean,
how to act,
yes,
how to talk,
all
of those things.
Yeah,
how to answer questions, how to meet the media.
Yes,
all of those things. So it's your job.
Yes.
Then and I want to see someone who hasn't gone through that to come and sit with us to talk about budget, budget and see how budget is derived, how it is formulated, the scratch, the nuisance, and everything of budget. I want to see somebody who will sit and talk about. You see me, for instance, when you say you work in a school, and I'm going to be very practical on this. When you say you work in a school,
you want to see me in my classroom?
No, but what I'm saying now, so this what they call mentorship in this country. Most of the children, millionaires and so, who they give props to, their teachers. The teachers, I've been seeing it.
We go
all of the speeches people give.
Yes.
All the successful people, they bow down to their teachers. People have seen it. People that are so well off, got so much money. They come and bow down when they see their teachers, right? They bow down. You know the reason why? They always say this. You know what they always say? They always
I can show them to
you. If it had not been for this person and that person, this position, it will not have happened. They said. So people don't understand how these things are connected. People don't understand how leadership. They don't understand those things. They think that when you say leadership is years of experience. Years of experience. And I applaud all of you guys in your capacity, what you have done. And I would never, ever in any way try to take anything away from you. We will debate, we'll argue, and so, but in your own field, in your own area, I respect that. And one of the things I see Liberians don't do, we don't respect what other people do.
We
We
don't
done.
respect. We don't respect knowledge, but we are
We
all
done.
the way off the track.
We
Let's try
done.
to finish up. Peter, no sleep. Peter, I thought you were on vacation.
So
I
I
am.
go to anybody who wants to. I've said enough, and I apologize again for being on. This time around, I'll go early to the gym on Thursday,
Yeah,
and I'll
please,
be here.
Thursday,
I
go
will
early to
start.
the gym and come so
Yeah.
we all can be on the same page.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
let Peter chronicle everything and bring it to a full.
Thank you.
Close us. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you, Emmerich. I'm glad you're committing. Yes. We were gonna be on the air. Sorry, Peter. The radio station started up, but the other day they keep plugging it in the right wall and the regular wall instead of putting the search observer and then likeness track. So we just bought the parts to have it fixed. I will talk to you about it. So we'll be on the air. Yes. Go ahead, Peter. Sorry. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna put myself on mute.
So yeah, in closing, we were just talking about nations and how we got to pick the leaders that we have now. The process needs to be visited. We need to talk about how we're picking the people we're picking. Um, if we're going to have a democracy, it doesn't seem like we're going to have a dictatorship anytime soon, unless I get enough guns. But it doesn't seem like we're going to have a dictatorship anytime soon. So we got to depend on people voting, and the standards that we're setting for who we vote for and how we vote for them is a major problem because it's giving us the type of leaders that we have. The type of leaders like Joseph Boycott, the type of leaders like we are, those are not the people who understand what is needed, economically what is needed, socially what is needed, educationally what is needed, the structure. How do you stop capital flight? How do you do the things that's needed to build the country up, to improve the standard of living? Just like Tauber said, right? How do you go from mat to a mattress? How do other people do it? Okay, we need to use those things. We brought up a person like Martin Coley, and what he's talking about is because those are people we're allowing to poison the electorate. And no, we shouldn't wait for people in Liberia to say, oh, we're going to be on the radio. There are people right in the diaspora that will sit here and watch Facebook Live of people cussing and fighting each other, and they won't listen to or support those who are talking about what's wrong with our economy, but they rather beg to stay in people's countries, right? They rather beg for welfare. They rather beg for visa when we can be fixing our own country, and we need everyone to be on board to do that. And the point I'm making is it's not about the radio, it's about the people who believe in the same things. Those people need to be saying the same things, supporting the people who are saying the same things. But we're not doing that. We sit on our hands. That's a major problem. Okay. And the people who are saying the negative things have all the support that they need. This is, if it's going to be a democracy, it's about people power. Well, you don't have power if you have no people. Okay, we can't wait and say, well, the next time we have next time our election is the same thing. We have to go on offense. We have to call the government out in what they're doing. We are the government. Okay, the diaspora Liberians are the only people who can hold the government accountable. We need to literally use facts and figures when we attack those people. You cannot sit there and ignore cancer. I heard there were 4 people in the Liberian community, 4 in the last couple of months who suffered from a stroke. I guarantee you they ignore signs, right? And when you turn a certain age, you need to go get your colon checked. You need to go get checked at the doctors. We can't ignore things. And we're ignoring things, right? We're ignoring all the symptoms. I'm saying that Martin Coley speaking, I'm glad he did speak and say what he says. And I need him to keep attacking Mr. Cummings because it tells you it's symptomatic of what's going on, right? It tells you that there's an unhealthy dialogue going on that affects the type of people. Again, I am not married to the idea of Cummings being a president, but I'm saying the type of person like Mr. Cummings is who we need to be supporting. And when that environment is toxic because we allow Martin Coley, it's not even allowing him for him to believe that he should say something about this man's school, or for him to raise the standard, what have you done for Liberia?
Or even control the narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
For you to say, for him to even say that as if that's a standard that any nation has used, tells you there's something wrong with the environment. And the reason that he's able to say that is because not enough people are speaking about what should be happening. This is the point I'm making. Okay, we do need to raise from mat to mattresses. This is what other nations did. If we're serious about improving our country, we must stop ignoring the signs and the symptoms. You must stop saying, Lofa always says that, I'm not even going to say this person's name. I'm not going to stop ignoring that, because those people, names that you're not saying, they're poisoning the water. They're poisoning the water. And we need to say their names. You can't ignore them. This is not some middle school fight between two little kids, two little girls. We have to say why they're wrong, and we have to make that point emphatically over and over and over again. These are the same people that went and sold to the Liberian people poison the water, that Mr. Cummings was a homosexual. And anyone supporting him became a homosexual in their eyes. And now it looks like this main character is flawed, because he was lying about who he really was when that was nowhere near the truth. And we sat there and said, oh, just ignore it. I'm saying the same thing I said about Kamala Harris and the people before. Your game plan is horrible. It sucks. That's why you have 1%. It sucks. You cannot win in a democracy with cynical people this way. You cannot ignore bullies. You can't ignore them. And we continue to do that over and over again and act like, oh, we're above the frail. The Michelle Obama strategy sucks. It doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're dealing with bullies. And this is why these people were able to galvanize what they galvanized. If you go on Facebook, they're symptomatic of what's going on. They're emboldened. They can say whatever they want because we are too quiet. You're too nice. You're too kind. I'm not saying you have to go out there cussing, but you need to support. People need to see that. No.
Good thing you just said that, Peter. Good thing you just said that.
Go ahead.
Good thing you just said that. You don't have to go out cursing. Okay? And I agree with you 100% on all of what you have said. 100%. We have to be able to.
Yeah, flip the screen.
We have to be able to.
No, I'm good. I'm listening to you guys. Okay, here you go. Okay.
We have to be able to expose their ignorance. The only difference there, we don't have to be cursing. And I do agree. You just said, no, on the onset, if you don't attack them, when I say attack them, it may sound like a military, but attack to be able to counter, okay? If you don't counter them every step of the way to put them in the trap, by 2029 is going to be impossible. And I think, to me, we always create this whole scenario where we want to be the bigger one. We want to act like we're the professional people, the decent people.
And then we create emergencies.
Yes. To me, it's the time now to put them in their trap, right? To be able to subdue them, to be able to give better alternative to counter what they are providing, feeding to our people, right? Our people being fed with complete rubbish, mess, because they think they want to control the narrative. And I agree that on the onset, when we see those things, instead of trying to address it, yeah, we should be approaching, we should be on the offense. I do agree. And that's the reason why we all see it the same way. And we say going forward, we have to be on the radio, because talking here may not be impactful, Peter. What's going to happen if we negotiate and be on the different radio stations, on local radio stations, and start talking now? 2029, our people will be conscientized. They're going to be conscientized. They're going to say, oh, you Cindy, Peter, and other people were talking about this ever since the other folks did not have an answer. They challenged them, right? How people are going to see it? They're going to know the truth. So what happened we sat down for so long, and we have to be supportive. People that support the opposition, we have to see means to put in more resources into us being on air in Liberia, and we have to be frank about it because it's expensive. So we have to start appealing to people that want to see change in Liberia to put their money to where their mouth, is, and so or their
Yes.
mouths are.
But
And
Emma,
we,
even
yeah,
without money, I think we need to start challenging the same people that in these groups with. Why are you not supporting?
Oh
Why are you
yeah.
not watching? Why are you not commenting? Why are people not hearing what
Yeah.
you think about what was
Yeah.
said? Okay,
but
we need to
Pierre,
call them out.
Why
And the
you rock?
so-called, let me land on this, Cindy,
Mhm.
especially the
You're
so-called
right.
leaders, especially the so-called leaders. Okay, why are they not here? Okay, Dr. Francine been on Spoon forever. What's the impact? Why are you not here saying this is right? I believe this. I see. Why are they not saying that we have a team? All these other people that want to be in these groups and tell people what to do. We're going to go here. This is how we're going to do things. Where the hell are you right now? Why are you not speaking? Why are you
Yeah.
not speaking with us? Why are you not putting your voices with us? We need to call them
Yeah.
out now. Okay. It's funny that we go in these groups and we go in these things, and then all of a sudden, they want to start saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we want to collect this money. You're not getting a penny of my money. You're not getting a dollar. And we go to fundraisers. That's not how you raise funds. You people not even energized to give money. You think I'm going to give you $5,000 of my hard-earned money for my family? What's
In
wrong with
fact,
you?
you owe me
The
five
same,
thousand dollars, and Peter.
Peter,
So don't
Peter,
even do
Peter,
that.
Peter,
the
I got a
people who
point.
the same people who are to me, it's like it makes me want to throw up. You think I'm going to give you all that money for what? You're leading who? You're MC here talking about what? Like you're not. Where were you? I never seen you on the show saying I agree with the same points. I have the same
Yeah.
philosophy.
You never
You
show
never
your
was there,
face.
and you think I'm
Yeah.
going to come and give you my money? Are you on crack?
Well, I think that's why now we have to be smart, to identify people that support us. One thing I knew, because of our conviction of supporting integrity, people took advantage of it. They came up pretending they mimic themselves as people of integrity, right? And we support it. Once they gain the momentum, the platform, they gain those things, they say, screw you. So now we have to be very, very smart. If you notice what's happening, right? The same thing within the CPP. When UP sat quietly, they did not have the balls
Yeah, they
to
didn't
be able
have
to
the
counter.
face to do
They didn't
anything.
have
Nobody
to do it.
listened
They
to
didn't
them.
have the integrity. They didn't have the credibility to counter
Yeah.
CDC. They were so quiet. They shielded themselves in the CPP, and we were the ones. In fact, I
Yeah.
always say this when it comes to giving recognition to people that silence George Weah and and CDC. But we were the ones.
Yeah.
Show me the faces from UP that were able to do it. Let's be
No.
realistic.
In fact, the
We were
election,
the ones.
yes, it was Mr.
We were
Cummings all over
used.
the place. We were the one. Yeah.
We were used. But you know what's happening
Can we
now,
can
Peter? I
can we
think,
close, please, guys?
yeah, we were a lot
An
smarter.
hour
We
and
were a
30
lot
minutes.
smarter, right? We were a lot
Yeah, let's
smarter.
close.
And that's why you see us now. Because people now, CDC cannot criticize UP, right? So they're waiting for this voice, for this. I mean, this group of people that will come in and be able to criticize, and they benefit. We're too smart for it. We have changed. We have changed. A lot has changed. When it comes to us, I will tell you the support system we had, we do not just go about just supporting anybody anymore. And from the likes of Martin Colley, Costa, all of them, do you see us just support anyone? We learn from it. We're not stupid people. So thank you, Cindy. I will close out by saying we're not stupid. We
Okay.
learn from it.
I don't even know support costs on based on what.
No,
Support
initially,
based on what?
initially, not knowing
We did.
the
We
identities
did.
of those people, we were very
We didn't know
open,
you were playing
honest, and
games.
sincere, and we supported anyone in the name of advocacy, right? But
I
one
did.
who's no, yeah, but maybe because you knew them and you were friends and
I didn't know them.
your
I just
maybe your roommate to them.
you remember now I'm a not religious person. I need facts before I support.
No, No, not everything gonna be based on facts.
Oh
Not
yeah,
everything
everything's
like
based on logic and facts.
no,
Everything.
no, but logic and facts are two different things. Something that be logical to you, but may not be factual too. So
No,
let us table that. Let us table that
yeah, we
because
can talk about that another.
it's
Fact
a
is fact,
whole
logic
it's
is
a
logic.
whole
Very
huge
important.
debate right now. If you're saying that everything logical to you can be factual, then I say
It's
no,
not
but
explained.
logic.
Logic have rules. Like 1 + 1 is 2. It's just it.
No.
It's called
But
syllogism.
at the same
Okay,
time too.
gentlemen, can you guys close
Okay.
because they both of you listen.
Yeah,
No, because
You
I'll
have
call
you
you.
know
We can
too much
debate it.
book.
no, I will go. The young man, I will go after him. They fool it in the mail.
Love you both and good night. I'm gonna close my
Okay, good
meeting and
night.
I'll call it good night. Good night.
Okay, good night. Thank you,
Good night,
Cindy.
gentlemen. Good night. Good night, Emmerich. Wow. Chai. Come on time, Emmerich. Then you can have all the conversation. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this for y'all. I will play this. This is Steve and the team. So I'm gonna play this. This is what I'm gonna close with. All right, this is not working out. It's speeding for some reason. Okay. What's going on?
Let's get to the conversation for the day. You know, I woke up this morning with some messages from some people. You know, certain people I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to waste my time. I see some Liberians, some ANC people, some CPP supporters, some Mr. Cummings supporters. I see them going sharing Martin Colley posts and getting there with Martin Colley or whatever it is. Let me say this. Let me say this to the Liberian people. No boys got no moral, they got no integrity. I'm saying it to you today. They have no morals and no integrity. They can never. They see why we told you about Costa. And Costa crashed. That's going to Oka in front of you. We told you. We are telling you again. This is not personal. It's not an attack on Martin or anybody. These are just the fact of the matter. These are young men who are supposed to stand for what is right, regardless rain, sun, whatever it might be. The weather. You stand for what you do. But these guys have no moral standing. So they got to come and rest on him, and they acting like the advocate, 1 minute the activist, 1 minute the advocate, 1 minute the humanitarian, and another minute their own life is inconsistent. And they're standing from you and telling you that the serial minded group of people. Oh, Martin Colley know about the importance of somebody opening an educational institution, but he supported Joseph Boaga. Saying that knowing Joseph Boaga, why had Joseph Boaga done to benefit the Liberian that he supported Joseph Boaga? You think about it first. You know, when you putting somebody up on some kind of high pedestal or respecting them, it comes with a lot. It comes with a lot. It doesn't just come with somebody coming in and renting or acting like they're standing for you and you get blindfolded and you get followed and all of you be wasting your time. Nobody should give Martin Colley any credit. And then Martin Colley, Martin Colley Kerry is coming to court. And they got a Ministry of Education that show to regulate tuition or other things and know whatever it is. If the Ministry of Education feels that the tuition at Cummings school is high, let them go to tell him to reduce the school fees. Simple. That's as easy as drinking water. In fact, why are we even discussing Cummings today? When Martin Colley government and he brought to power, and Joseph Boakai had been invited by Joe Biden, we shall be discussing it now. Why they running away from their own good news? We don't want to tell you what's going on. We're here to tell you. Don't leave Martin Colley. Don't leave Martin Colley there. Let me tell you something. The Martin Colley there, the Costa there, all the other people there, who claim that they want what is right, they want change what is good. Tawan Gongro, who is an integrity icon in Liberia. Many of in all of them, some of them, when they were attacked, they refused to support that man, or men of integrity. They went, they supported somebody with tinted character like Joseph Boakai. And you still believe that Martin Colley are moral people? You're not ready yet. You are not ready. It has nothing to do with politics. These are the same people that you're looking forward to be the next group of people in line for leadership. More are who went in public and say private, sitting as the Secretary General of the Unity Party at the time, on recording, telling somebody to take up pregnancy. On recording, they went public. You ever heard a Unity Party spoke to it to say they won't fire, they won't even ask him to step aside while they do an investigation or any kind of punishment? You ever ask the Unity Party to do that? You ever asked the Unity Party ever did that? But I see Mo Ali then today that they gave job to the person around. Mo Ali, I saw someone posting, he talking about it trying to raise 1.4 million for water or whatever it is, and do this and do this and do that. And I ask question, the people in Bapolu that they spent almost 200,000 that they use for Fiabomu. Because 26 coming in looking for 26 money now, so he's saying they mobilizing people to collect 1.4 million for water, and you're buying into it. Sometimes I don't blame no man. Sometimes I don't blame no man. Even the Costa, I don't blame them. That's why, to be honest with you, let me say this. I don't fuck these guys. A woman I say they stand for change or they want something good. And they say because they felt that the person was going to win, or the person is a winnable candidate, and why they supported that person has no integrity and no moral. They're not interested in change. They're interested in winning. All the people who supported Joseph Boakai because they felt Joseph Boakai was a winnable candidate. Let me tell you today, they are not interested in change. They are interested in winning. And there is a difference between change and winning. When you choose to be on the winning side, that's great. It doesn't guarantee any change. Let me tell you today. So all of those boys